The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
It happened to be that there was a meeting of mashgichim in Eastern Europe. All great mashgichim, people work in the field of kashrus. That really is one of the mainstays of Klal Yisrael. And they all came together for a meeting, an encounter. There were to be various shiurim and discussions and ways to link together in various very important chemical analysis of oils and other things in the kashrus and all the things that the mashgichim and the rabbanim machshirim needed to know. It was the last night of this convention, of this meeting, and there was a yid that was there that happened to be a very special person, very erlich yid, a Rav, and his name was Eliezer, Rav Eliezer Lipa. They go to sleep that night. All of a sudden, one of his fellow mashgichim run into him in the middle of the night, and he says, Rav Eliezer Lipa, I just had a very startling dream, and I don't know what to do with it. He says, what was the dream? He says, well, I tell you, there was a neshama that came to me and said that neshama needs to have kapitlach tilim. That neshama passed on a number of years ago, but needs someone to say Tehillim, the Psalms, by the kever, so that individual finally have their tikkun after all these years. Rebbe Eliezer Lipa told him, a lot of dreams speak falsehoods. People dream and they have different dreams. But his friend said no. There were a lot of detail, and I will tell you the detail. The neshama said that there's train tracks in town. If you go and follow the train tracks, you will find an old institution that's no longer in use. Behind that institution, there is a Beis HaChaim. There's a cemetery. And that person is in the cemetery. And it happens to be that you will be able to find me. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the name is Eliezer Lipa. Eliezer Lipa. When the friend heard that, the friend began to be a little bit curious as to what this was all about. When the convention ends, they got in the car, they followed the train tracks. Sure enough, there was the institution no longer in use. Behind it, there was a cemetery, a Beis HaKvaros. However, it wasn't a Jewish cemetery. So, I guess the dream wasn't true. But the friend said, no, we've got to look further. They go a little bit deeper. They see a shar, a gate, with a Magen Dovid. Oh, a Yiddish Beis HaKvaros is a Jewish cemetery. They go in, and there they see the kever, Eliezer Lipa. No relative to either of the men. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, so maybe we should learn some Mishnayos here. L'toivus HaNeshama. The friend said no. The neshama asked for Tehillim. Tehillim, we must say. And so they said their Tehillim, and they went through the Tehillim, bibchias, with crying and with tears, on behalf of the neshama. And they noticed on the matzeva that this neshama had passed on 200 years before the date. Imagine 200 years, but yet, what made the difference? The Tillim. The Tillim that these men were going to say. The Toivus, the Neshama of that individual. What is a mitzvah worth? What is a kapitel Tillim worth? And Neshama waited 200 years for some Tillim to be said on its behalf. All of us, lahavdu ben chayim l'chayim, un sugut lang geyoren. Can you imagine what the difference will be for Tehillim that we say for our good lives, for our health and our welfare, for our families, and for all of Klal Yisrael.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org